Some people may say that faith is just a fuzzy feeling inside of your heart that, you just feel it whenever you feel like it, but that's not really how the Bible describes faith. And so today we're going to be talking about what faith truly means and why I can be certain in my salvation because how God has revealed what faith is like in the scriptures. And so we see that in Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1, which I would give to any person for the definition of what faith is. We have to realize that faith is a gift from God. It is a gift that God has given us as He has saved the believer by His grace. And so when we enter into Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1, we recognize that this book is a letter that we actually don't really know who the author is. Some may say it's Paul. I think Paul has some part into the letter because it does have a lot of language that sounds like Paul, but we don't really know who wrote it. But the letter starts off with how Jesus is superior over the old covenant. It mentions that Jesus is the great high priest. He is greater than all the angels created and Moses and the sacrificial system, that He is sufficient enough. And we continue to see that as we enter into Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1, especially in this letter when people were struggling, Jewish Christians were struggling through immense persecution. This chapter reminds people that the faith we have is not just a fuzzy feeling inside of the heart. It is an assurance. It's not a probability. It is a certainty on the promises of God. And so when we read Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1 and 2, we see that verse 1 says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen, for by it the men of old gained approval." What do we see in this passage when we hear about what faith is? Well, faith is the assurance of things. It is knowing, it is being certain in the truth that God has given us. That's the first thing. Faith is the assurance of things. Faith is knowing that God is there in the midst of your situations. Even if I can't see Him, even if I can't feel Him, I know that God is there because I have the faith to know that. And the faith that I have in God is something supernatural. It's not something that I made up on my own. It's something that God has given me and instilled in me. And then the second thing we read about faith is, so the first thing was faith is the assurance of things. The second thing is that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And for by it, men of old gained approval. We see in this verse also that faith is knowing, being certain about the promises of God that He has made. Did you know that there are so many promises that God has made in His Word? I think, and I might be wrong, I might have to correct in the description, but I've heard that there are over 10,000 promises that God has made. That is insane. 10,000 promises God has made. And so, since we serve a faithful God, God is going to complete every single one of those promises, even the ones that hasn't happened yet. And so when we have faith in God, it is an assurance to know that God is going to stay true to His promises, that He's not going to leave back on His word. He's not going to go against His word, because Christians know the character of God. We know that God is not a God who can lie or who just changes His mind. The Bible says that over and over again, that God is not a God who changes His mind. He does not regret like man does. He doesn't lie. He only speaks the truth. And so I hope this video leaves you off with, maybe you've been struggling with knowing, am I really saved? Well, ask yourselves, what do I hope for, right? Is this faith I have something probability? Am I just guessing on God? No. Faith is the assurance of things. I know God exists because God has revealed that. in His Word. I hope this video blessed you. Take care and